love talking to people with a heart for helping people, right? Like that's ultimately what we built my current business around. And it makes getting up and going to work every day a little bit easier.
Welcome to the Listen for Life podcast with Genevieve Richardson. Genevieve is a speech-language pathologist rehabilitating adults with communication challenges after a stroke or due to a neurological impairment. Get equipped with knowledge from experts in the field and professionals you need to know. We'll hear stories and experiences from others who are navigating life with aphasia. So, put your earphones in and take a walk outside. This isn't just a podcast. This is a community, a resource, and a support system. We're in this together. Do life.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Life Speech Pathology Show. This week, we are talking to Evan Ransome. He is the entrepreneur with the mostest here in Austin because he started Golden Home Management. And I just really love his business model. So sometimes when I'm looking for a professional, sometimes I don't even know what to Google. I don't know what to put in the search box. So hopefully Evan can help us out with that. If you're not living here in Austin, you can find someone like Evan to help you, the stroke survivor, live in your home safely. So let's bring Evan up. Let's see if I can push my button. And there he is. Hello, Evan.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
You are so very welcome. Evan and I met at a couple of different in-person networking events here in Austin. That's how I meet all these great professionals.
Yeah, we hit it off right away. I appreciate the kind intro. Yeah, and it's
It's awesome. So, Golden Home Management. Tell us, where did you get this inspiration for this kind of a unique company and how you serve people?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a family business, and it's kind of stemmed from two different parts of my family. One part is, me personally, my grandfather had a brainstem stroke when I was about 9 years old, and my mother-in-law took care of him for about 10 years at home and went through the process. He was a quadriplegic, went through the process of completely adapting her family home to be able to care for him. And then more recently, my father-in-law had Lewy body dementia, and we went through the process of caring for him at home as he digressed over the course of 10 years, and really just kept finding that, man, there was lots of people in the space to help him as a person. But when it came to actually doing the work to the home to allow him to stay at home, there was a gap. And luckily, within my own family, we had those skills. My mother-in-law ran a nursing home, and with that, my brother-in-law actually ran maintenance at that nursing home, and he was also a fire investigator, so he knew all the safety stuff. So we were able to make the adjustments needed for my father-in-law to our own home ourselves. But really, it came down to looking at clearly we have these skills, but what do other families do that don't have this very specific set of skills to make adjustments to the home, and just to generally take on the ongoing maintenance of the home when at some point people can't do it anymore, right? And so that was the impetus for the business. Is we felt the trend is, and I feel that way, I know lots of people feel the same way, that we want to stay at home as long as possible, right? Like, if at all possible, I don't want to go into assisted living. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to be in my own home. And that's only possible as long as your home suits your needs. And so that was really the gap that we identified, was that the help was there for the person, but the home wasn't adapting with them to be able to stay at home. So that was the impetus for the business. That's the problem we're solving. We like to say we're solving the grandpa shouldn't be on a ladder changing a light bulb problem. And that really matters. So that's generally high level what we do. We focus always on home safety and home maintenance. They're always 1 and 2. I say 1 and 1A from a priority perspective, because everything we do is with the lens of both of those things. Whether it's changing furnace filters and getting on a ladder to mitigate that for somebody, or it's completely remodeling a bathroom to make it ADA compliant with that someone can go in a wheelchair. We kind of do all of that, and we do it in a unique way where we can do the one-off project, but we also have a model where we're there every month with a handyman taking all of the ongoing needs, all of the ongoing maintenance, etc., as well as having a home coordinator who's a certified aging in place specialist making suggestions for adaptations, as well as, any sort of safety needs or anything like that as we go. So, it's been a really great journey as we started. You mentioned what we are in other markets. We actually started up in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee. We're in Madison as well. That's where my father-in-law lived. And so we started there and then have opened in Austin and are doing great here as well.
So let's unpack a little bit about what makes your company different. Because it's not that you just hire handymen. Yes, they're handy, but there's something special about your company and how not only how you staff it, but the skills of the people and
Correct.
how it all works together comprehensively. Tell
Correct.
us more about that.
Yeah. So everyone on the team, including the handyman, has gone through specialized training called Certified Aging in Place. So it's through the National Association of Home Builders, and it's basically to make sure that, in addition to being able to turn a wrench or make adjustments from a handyman perspective, you have the ability to look at the home through the lens of safety, talk to people to understand what their needs are, and really make changes to the home as needed on a per person basis. So that's a big part. And then we also, the home coordinator piece, this is someone who's really more of a social worker, and their job is to just be there and be present and constantly looking at the home through the lens of safety. So while one handyman might be up, changing the batteries in a smoke detector, the home coordinator is sitting with the person that lives there and just, asking the normal questions like, hey, notice there's a few stairs going from your garage to your back door. Have you ever felt, over the last month, a little bit unstable on them? And if the answer is yes, we're trying to be preventative and putting a railing in right away rather than kind of, waiting to be reactionary. So we're always trying to be preventative for folks. That's really where our passion is, we want to feel like people are getting more value out of our service over time rather than less or the same. And so we know that if we're focusing on safety as people's mobility changes, their ability to move around their house changes, we need to be making those adjustments. And so be staying ahead of that stuff. So that's really our approach. And like I said, we'll do the one-off stuff as well, but really our heart is in how do we help people long-term and focus on keeping folks in their home.
So, who would you say is hiring you the most? Is it the spouse of someone that needs, the modifications, like the spouse of a stroke survivor? Is it the adult children of mom and dad that are aging in place, or there's a disease process going on? Do you get referrals from doctors, or as people are being discharged from the hospital? Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so it really does run the gamut, and part of and that's honestly a point of pride for us, right? Is that we want to meet people where they are and with whatever situation we're in, right? So we do have folks that are coming out of maybe they didn't do a good job of being preventative in, whatever scenario, right? Maybe they've had a fall, maybe they've had a stroke. That's not a preventative thing, but if they're coming off of a visit to a facility where now they need to make adaptations to the home, we absolutely get those calls quite frequently, probably the most common. The second most common is actually seniors that are maybe a little bit younger and just kind of realize that, hey, I shouldn't be on a ladder anymore. I'm fine getting around, but at the end of the day, my family yells at me every time I get on a ladder. It's time for me to give that up. I'll take all of my risks with my friends on the golf course and just get off the ladder. And so, we want those people as well. We love that because we have the opportunity to be preventative then if we get to come in early and help. But really it does run the gamut from, those people at the very beginning of their journey of aging in place to, folks that really have a laundry list of needs and immediate adaptations that need to happen. And like you mentioned, the adult children is actually a very common thing as well. So, it's there's a magnitude of reasons. Obviously, keeping your loved ones safe at home is the top one. But then also, part of what we do is just maintaining the asset, right? At the end of the day, your home is usually the way that wealth is transitioned between generations, and maintaining the value of that is important. So it's never the number one reason, but a lot of times it is a reason why we get engaged from adult children, to make sure that in addition to keeping folks safe, that we're just, we're staying ahead of, we're keeping up with all of this, the normal maintenance and everything for the home.
And I love that you're a second set of eyes in that home, because part of what I have seen, because I did home health for a huge part of more than half of my career, I did home health, and you would go in and you're just like, oh my, I hear that your batteries are low in your smoke detectors, or, those throw rugs are not safe. So us coming in as professionals are saying, oh, you need to make these kinds of modifications for safety. Sometimes it's better to come from someone like yourself, or your care. What did you call the person? You said it's like
Our
a
home coordinator. Yep.
home coordinator. And that we know that everybody with your company is you called it certified aging in place
Yes.
person.
The CAPS training. Yep.
So I remember when we would get like somebody discharged into the home, and the nurse and physical therapy, myself, would be going in. And then we're always trying to find the handy guy that knows how to put in grab bars so that they're in properly, or somebody to build a ramp. And, it was always hard to find those kinds of services.
Yep.
But we could call you, you come out and do a full assessment. We figure out what the immediate needs are. And then we could look at maintenance as well.
Yeah. And I think like that was the big thing for us, was that, even with my father-in-law, we knew that we could find someone to come install a grab bar. But when we would do that, it was always a transaction. It was always, this person is coming in to install a grab bar and they are gone. They're not thinking about what his next mobility issue is going to be, or how to actually stay ahead of the needs, ongoing needs, right? So that was really the big thing for us with the business, was that like, it can't be just this transaction. Like, we want to make making adjustments to the home and the maintenance of the home part of the continuum of care for people, right? It needs to be thought of just as much as, whether or not you're going to have home health involved, et cetera. Like, it should be it needs to be a part of it. So that's really for us what drives a lot of our intention, is that we want to change the way that people interact with the handyman or that service. It needs to be that this is a relationship and we're a part of the process for folks. So that's really big for us. And, we're not occupational therapists, right? Like we will, if we're in a position where someone has some really big needs, we'll bring in an occupational therapist as part of our assessment, right? To say, hey, this is, we want to make sure that we're doing this to the nth degree. We know a lot, but we're not, we haven't gone through that level of training. And we do the same thing on the other side with home inspectors, right? Like, we're not a home inspector necessarily, right? Like, we know a lot about home maintenance. We will look through it. But if a home is really in a position where we've got to there's a lot going on and there's a lot of stuff and a lot of risk to missing things, we have great relationships with home inspectors that we can bring in to do that as well. So our normal assessment can cover probably 85 to 90% of folks. But when we get into a unique scenario, we have access to those people to bring in the expert when needed.
That's fabulous. Evan, you've given me so much to think about. And I am just reflecting back 23 years ago. My dad, he was mid-50s, climbed up on the roof because the roof was getting replaced and it was raining. So they stopped work and the tarp was blowing up. So, like my dad always did, he climbed up there to go secure it. Next thing we know, we're getting a call from the hospital because a neighbor found him on the front lawn. He had fallen down, missed the planter by inches, and we're going to see him in the hospital. And oh my gosh.
Yeah, ladders.
And I hadn't thought of that memory in a long time. Everybody needs this. I mean, right?
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. What the other piece of it, right, is that, like, for your parents is we are very intentional about being the single point of contact for the home too. So, if things come up outside of that month, outside of our monthly visit, part of the subscription is, look, like, we'll go get the plumber that for the issue that came up in the middle of the month, or we'll, if something falls on your fence and it needs to get repaired, like, we facilitate bringing that person in. We'll even handle all the billing. Like, it all goes through us. It's one person. We try to make it as seamless as possible, where it does really just feel like an extension of family, right? Like, we like to say that, we it needs to feel like family is that's our sort of internal thing that we talk about, and really that we're delivering peace of mind to people, right? That it is, I've got one person that I know and trust. I don't have to, like, go shop for 6 plumbers. I don't have to shop for and worry that one of them is going to be, that I've selected the wrong one and they're going to try to take advantage of me. We know, especially with seniors, that, like, people will take advantage of them, and our heart is in this in the best possible way. Like, we know what market rates should be, and we're not asking for discounts or anything. We're just trying to make sure that seniors aren't being taken advantage of, and we know what the rates should be, and that people aren't kind of taking advantage of a situation, that we're keeping honest people honest, we like to say.
And there's something you said in there, Evan, that just, again, reminded me of another story. I got a million of them. When you're in the business a long time, right? You collect
Absolutely.
stories. But if you were the one bringing in a plumber, then you're the one negotiating. You're doing the transaction. You know the questions to ask, so that the senior's not getting taken advantage of, or the stroke survivor, or the spouse of a stroke survivor who maybe never had to hire a person in her life,
Correct. Yeah.
But my story is, there's this gentleman that lived in a mobile home. This is when I was working in California in home health. And the plumber came out because he had a leaking faucet. The plumber got him to buy an $800 faucet. I'm like,
don't exist, for the record.
Is it gold? Like, is it like solid gold?
Yeah.
And I couldn't, and unfortunately, I tried to intervene as gently as I could and let him know that I can go down to Home Depot and, I mean, like, but it'd be really nice. So in the circumstance of an adult child, in the circumstance of a spouse that maybe hasn't had to hire, knowing that you guys are there, looking out, you're there for the right reasons, that would just be like a breath of fresh air. It'd be taking some of the stress off of home maintenance.
I appreciate that. That's the goal. That's really, I mean, that's what we want to do. It's funny. You mentioned in the lead up, that we'll find people in other markets, and the certified aging in place specialist is a national title that you can go find. But unfortunately, what we're finding is that,
there isn't.
No one's doing this, right? No one's coming and really wrapping their arms around this, maintenance, where we're going to be there and actually do the work, and actually, be the person on the ladder for them, changing the furnace filter, or checking the seals on the windows, or draining the hot water heater. Like, it's all monthly, once a year kind of stuff. Like, it's not hard for a handyman, right? But it is hard for a senior or a stroke victim or something to do those things. And so, there is a need, and it's hard to find this sort of comprehensive package. And that's, I'll say we're coming to a market near you soon, right? Like, we're growing.
I hope so. I really, because I do appreciate your model, and because you're in it for the right reason. That's why we're here talking about it today.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to put up real quick, let people see this. Let's see how this adjusts. So I wanted to bring people's attention. And again, you guys are in a real niche. You're in this small market. But what I wanted to point out for folks is that you have this monthly safety subscription plan for $100 a month. And yes, people, we are talking money, because it is what it is, right? I mean, but what is that for peace of mind to make sure all your stuff's getting taken care of? Can you just tell us just a little bit about this and what I want to try and move over? It's not letting me click on it. I wanted to bring up this. Oh, that's the second page. Now I'm trying to bring up the first page. Here we go. So here's what I really love. You've got a schedule. In July, you're going to change the HVAC filters, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we did this with the intention of knowing that we've got an hour of handyman time every month, right? And so the things on this list are intentionally only supposed to take about 30 minutes of that hour. With the thought being, look, like we know, like a lot of times, like people don't know what all of the maintenance things they need to do for their home are, right? So we've got the list here for, over the course of a year, this is generally all the stuff you need to be doing. But we also know that a big value that we're offering is that your honey-do list can be attacked here a little bit as part of this. So that's the intention is that the bullets are, and the things that are on the schedule are scheduled for a reason because they need to happen. But we want to keep 30 minutes-ish available to our customers so that they can come up with things that need to happen to their own homes, right? Everybody has specific needs for maintenance. So we're trying to have a blend of both of those things. And ultimately, people are hiring us, right? So if they want to choose to say, look, like, let's not do the regularly scheduled maintenance, like, I really need you guys to focus your hour on this specific thing, we'll work with them on that. That's not a big deal. Or if it's, I've got more than an hour's worth of work this month, we offer the ability to just pay by the hour in addition to, being there. Right. So, that's the goal. I can tell you, we talked price, that $100 is two people's time in person for an hour. It's also that home coordinator's availability to handle anything that's coming up throughout the month and, paying for management and everything and overhead and everything else. Like, so I can tell you, like, it's not a not a lot of profit in there for us on that, but we're doing that on purpose. We care so much about helping, right? And so, if we can get to a price point to help the most people, that's where we want to be, and still be able to maintain ourselves and our livelihood. So that's the goal.
It's still a business.
Absolutely.
I mean, people want things for free, and I get that, but you are paying to have this kind of a service to keep your home safe, to get things addressed. I don't know if anybody out there in the audience has hired a handy guy lately. $100 is cheap for an hour, and to even have the access to a coordinator. So I think the model is spot on. I love that ongoing maintenance thing. I love the idea of being able to flex if there's the honey-do list that comes up, like I had my garbage disposal die, suddenly. And it's like, well, it is 10 years old. So I guess just replace it. Right. That would be something that we say, hey, Evan,
Yeah, and that's one. So it's important to note, right? Like the subscription handles the maintenance. If when things break, that's not really maintenance. That's replacement and stuff. So that would be something that we'd facilitate bringing in a plumber to change your disposal for you, right? It's not included in the maintenance.
Right. But I can call you.
Yeah, and we
call you as the adult child.
Yep.
And say, hey, Evan, this is what happened. Can you fix it? Or the dryer all of a sudden, started making a squeaking noise. When your handy guy's out here in 2 weeks or whatever, can you
take a look? Yeah, absolutely.
Take a look, or give us an idea of what's going on. So I just think that that's tremendous. For whatever reason you are in your home. Right? Whether you're a stroke survivor, a spouse of a stroke survivor, you're caring for someone with dementia, it doesn't matter the diagnosis. All of this has to happen anyway.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I think too, the thing that I struggled with getting into the contractor space or the handyman space was just that, like, there's this stigma around communication, and it's if you're a decent communicator, in the construction space or in the, you name it, maintenance space, you're in the top 2% of the people in the industry, right? Like if you call people back and you give updates, etc. And that's something we're really focused on. It's like, it's not hard to be a good communicator. It's not hard to show up for your assessment, but then also get a report that gets emailed out to all of the children, right? So that's what we do. We every month it's you'll get a call 2 days before to talk about, hey, this is what we're going to do. Then we're going to show up, and then we're going to send you an update with what got done that day, what things we found, how things went, how the person that's living there is doing, and what our plan is for next month, right? And that's every time. And then we store all of that, so you've got records of it. And it's an important thing, right? To be able to keep track of everything that's in the home and what's happened with it. Usually when we do an assessment or an intake, we're going as far as taking down the model numbers of every appliance in the home, so that if something breaks, it's an easy call to say, oh, hey, like my fridge isn't working. And it's like, okay, don't worry about it. Like, I got you. If your fridge is broken, I already have in my notes exactly what model it is, exactly who to talk to. So I know which appliance repair person to call, to get them moving, to make sure that we can get someone there as quickly as possible, right? So it's the little things that we're trying to think about to make sure that life is easier for people. And, the business is built around this concept of team, no surprises. So if our clients or our partners or anybody are ever surprised, we feel like we failed. We always want to talk about what the risks are, what the plan is, etc., and be coming back to that. So that's a big part of how we want to always keep things above board, especially with the group of people we work with. It's just really important.
Love it. Anything else we didn't cover that we need to cover, Evan? On the spot. I
don't think so. I appreciate you so much having me on. I like to say I'm in evangelist mode right now. I just want people to know we exist.
That's
I want
right.
people to know that we want to help, and hopefully, it's coming through in an authentic way. Like I really do care. We've gone through this together with twice now with different parts of my family, and we just want to help. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate you having me on and letting us tell our story a little bit. This has been a wonderful conversation.
So goldenhomemanagement.com and I'm going to pop up my own little thing here. Let's see how this looks. So for those of you that are listening to this live broadcast, it will be available on replay on my Facebook page, Life Speech Pathology, as well as the Listen for Life podcast 2023 on YouTube. But if you would like a summary, the take-home message from this episode and all the other episodes that we're putting out, because we're trying to put out value, subscribe for our podcast series. You'll get summaries of every episode. If there's a handout to go with it, any of that goodness is available to you for subscribing with just an email address. No cost to you. Evan, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Listen for Life podcast. We hope you feel empowered and supported. Head over to listenforlifepodcast.com to see the show notes with links and information from today's episode. Do you have a topic, a resource to share, or a guest recommendation? Inquiring minds want to know. Let us know in the comments section. Wishing you a fabulous week.